Hey everybody, it's Ade Shukoye here from Agile TV at the Agile Development and Better Software Conference 2013 in Boston, historical Boston where it all started. And right now I am with Ahmed
Sidky. Yes.
Sidky.
Good enough,
Sorry.
good enough. No
We're
worries.
getting there. How you doing?
Good, good.
Cool. So how you enjoying Boston so far?
I love Boston.
You enjoying the weather?
No.
Yeah, it's a bit cold, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
looked out my hotel window yesterday morning and it was snowing.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. So for those who are watching this right now, who might not be familiar with your work and the stuff that you do you want to just take a quick moment to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, sure. My name is Ahmed Sidky. I'm the Executive Director of the International Consortium for Agile. And what I do is I do a bunch of different things. My background is I started my career as a developer and basically, did project management, analysis and all that kind of good stuff. And then I decided to do my master's in requirements engineering and then took a hard turn and did my PhD in Agile transformation.
Awesome.
And how to actually help organizations become more agile. Since then, I've been coaching, training, consulting organizations around the world about how to become more agile.
Awesome. So does that mean I need to start calling you doctor?
You could if you want to, but you don't have to.
Oh, fair enough. Oh, thank you very much. So International Consortium for Agile, that sounds like really like...
Big stuff.
Big stuff.
Yeah, big
stuff. And I know
stuff.
it's big stuff. What is it?
Okay, so the International Consortium for Agile basically is a organization with the mission of educating people and deepening the education of agile knowledge within the industry to help sustain organizational agility.
Okay.
Let me explain that a little more. The idea, the premise we come from is that agile is a mindset. It's not a process, it's not a framework, it's not a methodology.
Say that again, please.
Agile is a mindset.
So before we go on, and this is something that's close to my heart and a debate I have many times, why do you say that Agile is, surely it's some processes, right? You've got daily stand-ups, you've got retrospectives, you've got all these various bits, and then when you start talking about the bringing in XP practices, surely it's a process, it's methodology, right? What's this mindset stuff?
Okay, so that's a great question. So when we look at Agile itself, Agile does not have steps like a process. It doesn't have step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this. Scrum does. XP does. XP and Scrum are Agile methodologies. But Agile in and of itself is a mindset, is a set of values and principles. The manifesto authors didn't agree on a set of practices. Actually, once you limit the set of practices, you've limited your agility.
Of course.
So the whole concept, and this is unfortunately the mix-up that's happening between Agile and Scrum. People are equating Agile to Scrum and Scrum to Agile.
Hear that all the time.
Yeah, so Scrum is a methodology. It has, 3 artifacts, 3 roles, 3 ceremonies, and so forth. But Agile in and of itself is a way of thinking about how to manage uncertainty through learning and discovery. That's really the essence of it. How to manage uncertainty through learning and discovery, not by fixing things up front. We're in the age of knowledge work where uncertainty is the norm now.
Of course.
We don't know what we're going to build before we build it. I mean, it's just like writing, right? You don't know what the words are going to look like till after you actually write them. So it's the same thing with software. Once you deliver the software, then the business people look at it and say, oh, here's what I want. Here, change this, change that. And you're dealing with knowledge workers, people that are creative. So you have no control over the people. You don't know what you're going to build. The amount of uncertainty is tremendous.
So are you telling me that all these unfortunate organizations out there who are right now trying to force everybody to work in a certain way and trying their best to control their workforce and managing, getting them to put out how many hours they spent on creating a story regardless of whether or not it created any value or not, that, you know what, they might be on the wrong path?
Well, here's the thing. The world is coming from an industrial era, which is heavily rooted in task work. And in task work, all these things make sense because you're dealing with tangible items, and creativity is not needed in the execution of work, but needed in the planning and design of work.
Low skilled.
Exactly. Well, not just low skilled. You may have high skilled, but the thought process is needed up front, and then you lock down what you're going to build and you go build it.
Okay.
Right? So that's the difference here. In knowledge work, the process of building generates new insights. So yeah, I believe that we are trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. We are in a knowledge era, all right? And our organizations are still managing and leading like they're leading assembly lines and task work. Even if you take an organization today and draw out its process, it looks like a line. It looks like an assembly line. And I tell people all the time, innovation cannot happen on a line. It happens in circles, right?
So then, how does somebody, so sometimes, you know, you go into organizations, you've got management who's at the top, who've built their careers over the last 20, 30 years in working in this way. And all of a sudden we're talking about, you know, it's a mindset, you need to be agile, you need to
Sure,
bring in
yeah,
things, and this kind of destabilizes the things that have worked for them and got them to where they are. How are they supposed to
And it's
embrace
not
this?
about what happened in the past was wrong. It was right. But the world is changing. When organizations today that were deeply rooted in the industrial era, Ford, for example, is calling themselves today a technology company.
Okay.
How the effect of technology on the world we're in today is moving organizations from that assembly line task work into knowledge work. So what worked in the past was great. The question is, what's going to happen in the future? And I think that's what executives need to start looking at, which is, yeah, great, we succeeded in the past, and we're starting to see now signs of a new world era.
Okay.
Right? The globalization, the effect of technology, the rate of change, the uncertainty, the global markets, all of these things are changing the essence of work. The picture, the typical picture of work used to be a factory. Today it's an office. You had people doing, now you have people thinking. And with the way you manage thinkers is very different than the way you manage doers. And so today, executives are, and I've seen this in many corporations, we're dehumanizing knowledge workers to treat them like robots on an assembly line. And here's a quick litmus test to everyone out there, is how many people are asking, just tell me what I need to do? That's an assembly line worker mentality. That's not a knowledge worker. A knowledge worker wants context, wants to contribute, wants to be engaged. So the interesting phenomena we're seeing is people are being treated like assembly line workers, and they start playing that role of an assembly line worker.
Like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Exactly.
You know?
So the mindset piece is really about how to manage uncertainty, not by fixing things up front, because here's the point, there is a lot of uncertainty. We can't, that is a fact at this point, right? You're uncertain if your key developer is going to get sick or is not going to be in the zone today, or your tester. I mean, just in managing people, there's uncertainty. The question becomes, how do you manage uncertainty? Are you trying to manage it like task work, where you try to fix everything up front by buffering and confirming things and freezing things?
Of course, which we see all the time.
Or are you going to find efficient ways to learn and discover quicker?
But here's the interesting thing, and you know, the talk that I gave earlier on today was about, you know, validating assumptions, moving from unknowns to knowns. And what we find is that when people are uncertain, it creates a degree of anxiety, right? And with that anxiety comes cognitive biases. And because people don't like to feel uncertain, they would rather make a bad decision than take the time out to learn how to come up with the right decision. How do we deal with that?
Well, that's a transformation. That's the whole point. Agile transformations are not about having people do, you know, 2-week iterations or daily stand-ups. The transformation is a cultural transformation to move people from a way of thinking in a linear way, where I need to know what the end result looks like so that I can move forward and reduce that uncertainty, to comfort with uncertainty and dealing with uncertainty through learning and discovering efficiently. And this is where I see Agile comes back into the picture, as our mission is not to just teach people the doing of Agile, the practices, but how to teach executives, testers, project managers, coaches, analysts, programmers, how to be Agile in their way of thinking. I mean, to your point, we as a community are facing a serious crossroads here. We are talking about Agile and Agile transformations, and a lot of Agile transformations, unfortunately, are not sustainable.
True.
The reason is, I believe people are focused on the wrong things. We're changing strategy, structure, and processes, and we're not changing the way people think. We're changing the way people do work, not think about work. And that's the shift. And that shift needs to happen on an executive level and on a people level, and in every discipline.
But, I mean, how do you get the executives involved? I mean, one of the things that definitely that I'm experiencing, I know a number of people experiencing, so where we're having success at the team level with Agile, and now we recognize, okay, we want to roll it out across the organization. A lot of management, and the further up you go, the more kind of disassociated they seem to be with it. It's like, okay, you guys get on with it. But surely that cultural change needs to be driven from the top as well. It can't just come from the bottom.
It comes from both. It can't come from the top only or the bottom only, right? It comes from both. But here's the big challenge we have. Agile is viewed as an IT process. IT is usually viewed as the assembly line of the organization. So now, in the mindset of the bigger organization, the assembly line workers have a better way of working. That's for them, not for us. That's the big difference here. We are not recognizing that this Agile mindset is not an IT process, and rather it is a mindset of knowledge work and knowledge workers, and executives need to be aware of this even before the staff. So I believe there's a common educational journey that needs to happen across the organization, starting with executives and the people and project managers and coaches and facilitators and all of these. They need to learn what this mindset looks like. Because if they don't, then all we're going to be doing is changing the process. And once you change the process, it will come back and there's going to be a new flavor of the month and.
Of course.
I mean, think about this. We have collaborative processes today, but we don't have people that believe in collaboration. They speak it.
Of course.
It's lip service, but it's the touchy-feely stuff no one wants to invest in.
Of course.
So you have a different mindset. And that's what really IC Agile is trying to do. It provides a learning roadmap. So right now, if you go to icagile.com, there are over 50 experts from around the world that have written learning objectives, how to get executives to be agile, how to get testers to be agile, developers. All these learning objectives are there. And what IC Agile does is it accredits internal organizations, training organizations, and universities to make sure that they're actually covering those learning objectives and rewards that learning through certifications, knowledge-based certifications and competency-based certifications.
Awesome. You've provided so much great value, and this is a conversation I really could go on forever about because it's very dear to my heart. And for those people out there who are watching this right now who also recognize the value, because I'm sure the things we've spoken about are common problems across the board, how can they get hold of you, get some more information, get access to these expert details about how to get the executives to buy into what they're doing?
Just go to icagile.com and you'll find contact information there. And my email is asidky, ASIDKY, @icagile.com.
Thank you very much. So, as you hear right now, you know, if you're a manager, you need to get engaged in the process. It's not about you and them. You're also part of it. You're going to be part of the solution. You know, it's about everybody getting involved, right? It's a mindset. It's not just about the processes. It's about the mindset and cultural change. And in today's economy, if a business wants to succeed, regardless of its size, it's all about business agility. It's about making sure the whole business is able to respond to change. Ade and Ahmed at the Agile Development and Better Software Conference, and we'll see you guys in a bit.
Thank you.